I've been asked by several folks in comments on some of our YouTube videos over the years to do interior tours. This is going to be the first kind of full interior tour of Keeldragger 1989 Valiant 40, number 278. So we're going to do a little bit of an interior tour, and I'm just going to do a little bit of walkthrough, and I'll kind of talk about each section of the interior. And then, appreciate if anyone has any questions or comments or wants, follow-up details on the boat, happy to provide that. But let's go ahead and start, and we'll start from aft and walk forward here. So as you come down the companionway from the cockpit, we have quarter berth, aft cabin, whatever you'd like to call this. It's actually pretty cozy in here. I find that it's comfortable for a couple. It's not too big. It's a little bit cozy, but there's enough room in here for Debbie and myself. Can fit two people pretty comfortably, and there's plenty of leg room back there. And then we've got a little bit of lockers above and below here. We have a nice hatch for ventilation, as well as a couple of opening port lights. One goes aft, so if you want to chat with folks, whoever's on watch, you can do that. And then that's also kind of covered by the Dodger a little bit, so it's covered from weather as well, so it's kind of easy to keep that one ventilated. This one's over on the port side that you're looking at. It's well lit, so most of the lights on this boat are LED, or the bulbs have been replaced with LED. So we've got a lamp up above, as well as a reading lamp. And then most of these alpenglows are pretty sweet. They'll do either kind of brighter or dimmer red and white lights. So almost every one of the alpenglows has dual lights in it, which is pretty nice. And then this is really pretty cool. This was something the prior owner did. There's 12-volt fans all over the boat, and they're actually, this is a PC fan, a PC cooling fan, that, built with the housing and wired. And then you can turn it on high or turn it on low. This is a pretty quiet one. Doesn't pump as much air as the ones in the cabin, but it makes it a little bit easier to sleep. So we love this, and this is what we use as our primary berth. We find it as pretty comfortable. Let's walk forward a little bit. Now, let's talk a little bit about the galley. We love the galley on Keeldragger. It's a nice kind of U-shaped galley. There's a 3-burner Force 10 propane stove with an oven, which works quite well. We've got some deep storage down here, so we've got storage, and then underneath the shelf there is the compressor for the refrigerator. A nice large sink, and we have a couple of interesting features here. So this spigot is actually operated by the foot pumps, and there's 2 foot pumps that'll feed this, both fresh water from the tanks as well as salt water. And then this is just off the pressurized water system. And then this spigot right here is that's the test output for the water maker. You can see the water maker panel here. So we can test when we run the water maker with the output there. And then I'll zoom in a little bit, and the starboard pump on the right is for fresh water, and the pump on the left is for salt water. Now, we have a pretty good sized fridge and freezer, so it goes pretty deep. So this is a refrigerator side. There's a little fan, which is a spillover. And then if I can close this, and we'll open up the freezer side. I've got a little bit of insulation down in the bottom. It's a pretty good sized freezer, and it will keep things frozen during the summer, which is pretty sweet. So let's take a look at the nav station. I probably will do another session at some point on electronics and what we have aboard the boat, but it's a nice nav station. It's pretty comfortable. It's big enough for a big guy at me to sit at it. There's plenty of headroom coming up. Another one of these amazing fans to keep you cool while you're sitting sweating at the nav station if it's hot out. Typically I set up this MacBook Air as the ship's computer. So I'll run OpenCPN on that, and then through Wi-Fi I'll get AIS signals as well as instrument, wind, depth, speed, all of that on the ship's computer as well. Do have a Raymarine instrument, a chart plotter, an SSB radio, a VHF radio with AIS on it, and then down below that is a AIS transceiver for send and receive. There's a Pactor modem here, which works with the single sideband if you want to transmit data, stereo. Pretty decent electrical panel for both 12 volt and DC and 120 AC. And then we've got a number of things here which are kind of interesting. This is the control unit for the S-Bar diesel heater. So there's a forced air heater. Runs on diesel, which heats up the boat quite nice. I was just running that a little while ago because it's cold and rainy outside. Here we've got a Link 10 battery monitor. And then we've got a switch for a Xantrex inverter here. And then this is a tank tender. So if you see the SPD starboard port water tanks and diesel, the boat has 40 gallons of 40 gallons port, 40 gallons starboard of fresh water tanks, and then it's around 95 gallons of diesel, so you've got quite a bit of range on this boat under power as well. We'll look at the salon area a little bit. So we've got dueling settees. This is a keel stepped mast, a stripper pole for really skinny strippers. Each of the settees, this one is actually a double. These cushions will come out, and this will actually slide to the mast for a double. Underneath that is the 40-gallon port water tank. And then to starboard is the other 40-gallon. This one does not pull out, so if you do have friends or you have extras on board, you still have a path going forward as well as to the head and everything. Plenty of storage, both above, but in the back of these settees is also storage. You've got lockers, same thing on the other side. So there's plenty of storage and things like that. And then also in the bilge, you have a little bit of storage forward, which is pretty nice. More storage down underneath the nav table as well as the nav seat, kind of underneath the electrical panel, and then 3 kind of hanging lockers for storage, give you quite a bit of storage. This ladder will actually pull up. I can show that in a little bit here in the video, but the ladder will pull up, and that is access to the engine room. Then back in our aft cabin, this little bench here actually pulls up, and the engine is right underneath that. So you've got pretty good access to the back of the engine. And I say the back of the engine because the engine is inverted with a V drive. It's a Volvo Penta, and that's just how they rigged it. We've got a 12-volt television. Now this is a neat feature. This is the table for our dinette here. I'm gonna pull this down slowly, and there's the hidden booze supply. Not really well hidden, mostly bottom shelf stuff, but whatever. This table will fold out, which is pretty cool. So you can get 6 people pretty comfortably. So if you have friends and things like that and you're entertaining, there's a good bit of room here, and we'll put that up in a minute. So let's move forward to the head. So you'll see the door to the head. This is a kind of a cool thing that the prior owner, I think, put in. This is on elastic, so this string, if you want to keep the head wide open and ventilated, you can do that. It's a wet shower, so you've got a shower head. You've got your sink and some storage, both kind of under the sink as well as over to the side, with a couple of opening port lights for ventilation, and then also a solar vent, and then a mirror. So this is pretty nice because we have a 10 or 11 gallon hot water heater. 2 people can take a shower in here at the same time. Don't ask me how I know that, but I can confirm that works. So now let's look at the V-berth. We tend to use the V-berth more for storage. unless we have friends or guests on board. But there's a nice V-berth here, and it's got a large opening hatch forward. I don't know the dimensions. It's pretty good size. So there's a lot of ventilation, and then you've got an opening port light here. This door right here will close, so you can close this all the way, and then behind that little door is that's the anchor chain locker, and then you can also see the chain plate for the staysail. Pan back a little bit. So another standing hanging locker in the forward V-berth area, and then one right outside of the head. Another opening port light. Now let's take a view aft. So this is the main saloon, the galley, and the nav station. Plenty of room here, plenty of lights. See, these fans are all over the place. All right, so let's take a look at the engine room as we head aft. I think this is a two-handed job, but we'll see if I can do this. Okay, so heading back to the engine room. You can see our EPIRB, fire extinguishers all over the place. We're pretty good on safety. So let's take a quick look inside the engine room. What do we have? 4 125 amp hour Lifeline AGM batteries here. That's actually on the starboard side of the boat a little bit. So that gives us 500 amp hours on the house, and then here is the starting battery. So we have 2 separate banks. This little square device here with the green light on is our solar controller. We have 360 watts of solar. This is the freshwater pump. It's actually set up with a valve, so you can rack or you can move water from port to your starboard tank. There's the muffler. See, we've got a couple of Dial 101 fuel filters. This big rectangle with the insulation on it, that is the primary fuel tank. And if we take a look this way, if I can reach, this is a Volvo Penta 2003T turbo. That's 43 horsepower with the turbo charger on it. It's got about 5,800 hours on it, so a lot of life on this engine, a lot of miles, occasional maintenance item here too, but it's still running strong. And let's take a look at the back of the engine. Let's lift that up, and there's the back of the engine. You can see the turbocharger as well as the heat exchanger, the primary heat exchanger. There's an oil cooler down there as well. Brand new exhaust elbow, and then this white thing down there is the V-drive transmission. A couple of other comments. So more on the companionway. That is the control for the autopilot, which isn't turned on right now. So Raymarine autopilot crap, and an old school Raytheon radar, which needs to get updated one of these days.